The Saga of Ragnar's Sons, a tale of vengeance, conquest, and legacy. The call to vengeance. In the frigid lands of the north, where fjords cut deep into the earth and the aurora danced in the night sky, 5 brothers gathered in a smoky longhouse. They were the sons of Ragnar Lodbrok, a legendary Viking king whose name struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. But now Ragnar was dead, slain by King Aella of Northumbria in England, thrown into a pit of snakes in a cruel execution. The brothers, Ivar the Boneless, Bjorn Ironside, Sigurd Snake-in-the-Eye, Hvitserk, and Ubbe, sat around the crackling fire, their faces etched with grief and determination. Ivar spoke first, his voice low and intense. "Brothers," he said, leaning forward on his crutches, for Ivar's legs were weak, "our father's blood cries out for vengeance. We must answer that call." Bjorn, broad-shouldered and battle-scarred, nodded solemnly. "Aye, but we must do more than simply kill Aella. We should conquer his lands, and more besides. Let us carve out a kingdom that would make our father proud." Sigurd, named for the strange mark around his eye that resembled a snake, added, "We have the men, we have the ships. All of Scandinavia watches to see what the sons of Ragnar will do." Hvitserk, always quick to anger, slammed his fist on the table. "Then let us waste no more time. We should sail for Northumbria now." Up, often the voice of reason among his brothers, raised a hand. "Patience, brother. We must plan carefully. Our actions now will shape the fate of our people for generations to come." As the night wore on, the brothers debated and planned. By the time the first light of dawn broke over the fjord, they had made their decision. They would raise the largest army the North had ever seen, and they would sail for England. But their ambitions would not stop there. They would conquer, explore, and leave their mark on the world in a way that even their father had not. For months, the sons of Ragnar prepared. They sent word to every corner of Scandinavia, calling for warriors to join their cause. They built longships, gathered supplies, and forged weapons. As word spread of their plans, men flocked to their banner, eager to win glory and riches. In the year 865, the Great Heathen Army, as it would come to be known, set sail for England. Hundreds of dragon-prowed ships filled the horizon, their sails billowing in the wind. At the head of this mighty force were the sons of Ragnar, each commanding their contingent. Ivar, despite his physical limitations, was the chief strategist. His keen mind had devised their plan of attack. They would land in East Anglia, using it as a base to launch their assault on Northumbria. The army landed on the shores of East Anglia, and the locals were overwhelmed by the sheer size of the Viking force. The East Anglian king, Edmund, tried to resist but was quickly defeated. Rather than waste their strength conquering East Anglia entirely, Ivar negotiated a truce. In exchange for peace, Edmund would provide the Vikings with horses and supplies for their campaign against Northumbria. With their army now mobile, the sons of Ragnar turned their sights northward. They marched towards York, the capital of Northumbria, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Villages were burned, monasteries plundered, and any who resisted were put to the sword. The fall of Aella. As news of the approaching army reached York, King Aella knew he faced a grave threat. He hastily gathered his forces and marched out to meet the Vikings in battle. The two armies clashed on a cold, misty morning outside the city walls. The battle was fierce, but the Northumbrians were no match for the battle-hardened Vikings. Ivar's strategies, combined with the berserker fury of Bjorn and Hvitserk, quickly turned the tide. Aella's army broke and fled, and the king himself was captured. Now, at last, the sons of Ragnar had their father's killer in their grasp. They debated what to do with him, but in the end, it was Ivar who decided Aella's fate. In a gruesome ritual known as the Blood Eagle, Ailla's ribs were severed from his spine and his lungs pulled out through the wounds to form the shape of eagle's wings. As Ailla's agonized screams echoed across the battlefield, the sons of Ragnar felt a grim satisfaction. Their father was avenged, but their conquest had only just begun. With Northumbria under their control, the brothers faced a decision. Should they press on and try to conquer all of England, or should they pursue other goals? After much debate, they decided to split their forces. Ivar, Ubbe, and Hvitserk would remain in England, consolidating their hold on Northumbria and expanding their territory. Bjorn and Sigurd, however, had grander ambitions. They would take a portion of the fleet and sail south, seeking adventure and riches in distant lands. Ivar, now established as the ruler of Northumbria, began to show his skills as a leader. He was ruthless when needed, but also shrewd. He understood that he couldn't rule through force alone. He made alliances with some of the local nobles, allowing them to keep some of their lands and power in exchange for loyalty and tribute. Under Ivar's rule, York became a thriving Viking city. He encouraged trade, built defenses, and even allowed some degree of religious freedom, though the Christian churches were heavily taxed. Bjorn and Sigurd's Mediterranean adventure. While Ivar was building his kingdom in England, Bjorn and Sigurd embarked on one of the most audacious Viking expeditions ever undertaken. With a fleet of longships, they sailed down the coast of Francia, modern-day France, raiding as they went. They passed through the Strait of Gibraltar and entered the Mediterranean, a sea no Viking had sailed before. They raided the coasts of Spain and Italy, even attacking cities as far south as Pisa. Legend has it that they mistook the city of Luna in Italy for Rome itself. Bjorn is said to have tricked his way into the city by pretending to be a dying man who wanted a Christian burial. Once inside, he sprang from his coffin and opened the gates for his men. Whether this tale is true or not, Bjorn and Sigurd's Mediterranean expedition brought them immense wealth and fame. They returned to Scandinavia as legendary figures, their ships laden with treasure. The consolidation of power. Back in England, Ivar, Ubbe, and Hvitserk continued their conquest. They pushed into Mercia and East Anglia, overthrowing kings and establishing Viking rule. The Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, divided and weakened, could offer little resistance. However, in Wessex, they met a formidable opponent. King Aethald and his younger brother Alfred, later known as Alfred the Great, managed to halt the Viking advance. In 871, a series of battles were fought with mixed results. It was during this campaign that Ivar's health began to fail him. The exact nature of his condition is unknown. Some say he suffered from brittle bone disease, which would explain his nickname the Boneless. Others suggest he may have been a skilled contortionist. Whatever the truth, Ivar's physical limitations finally caught up with him. Knowing his end was near, Ivar called his brothers to him. He instructed them to bury him at the border of their conquered lands, saying that as long as his bones guarded the frontier, no one would successfully invade. Then, in 873, Ivar the Boneless, the conqueror of Northumbria and avenging son of Ragnar, breathed his last. The brothers' diverging paths. With Ivar gone, the remaining brothers found themselves pulled in different directions. Ubbe took control of their holdings in England, trying to maintain what they had conquered. Hvitserk, restless and eager for more battle, decided to seek his fortunes elsewhere. Hvitserk sailed east, to the lands that would one day become Russia. He fought alongside other Viking leaders, including Oleg of Novgorod, helping to establish the Kievan Rus state. His skill in battle made him famous, but his fondness for drink often led him into trouble. Meanwhile, Bjorn returned to Sweden, where he became a king in his own right. He ruled justly and was known for his wisdom as much as his warrior skills. Under his reign, trade flourished, and he maintained peace with neighboring kingdoms, through strategic alliances and marriages. Sigurd Snake-in-the-Eye returned to Denmark, where he also became a king. He had to fight hard to maintain his rule, facing challenges from other Viking leaders who sought to take his throne. The mark around his eye, which had given him his nickname, was said to glow before battle, striking fear into his enemies. The last battles. As the years passed, the sons of Ragnar faced new challenges. In England, a resurgent Wessex under King Alfred began to push back against Viking rule. Ubbe found himself fighting a defensive war, struggling to hold onto the lands his brothers had conquered. In 878, Ubbe led a Viking army to Devon, hoping to defeat the forces of Wessex there. But he had underestimated his opponents. In a fierce battle at Cunwit, Ubbe's army was defeated, and he was killed. The famous raven banner, said to have been woven by Ragnar's wives and carrying magical properties, was captured by the Saxons. Hvitserk's end came in the eastern lands. According to some accounts, he was captured by a tribe called the Eastling, and burned alive as punishment for his raids. Other stories say he eventually returned to Scandinavia and died in battle there. Sigurd's rule in Denmark came to an end when he was killed in a battle against invading forces from the south. Some say he died fighting against Christian missionaries who were trying to convert his people. Of all the brothers, only Bjorn lived to old age. He died peacefully in Sweden, leaving behind a stable kingdom and many children to carry on his legacy. The legacy of Ragnar's sons. Though all of Ragnar's sons eventually fell, their impact on history was immense. They had changed the map of England, establishing the area known as the Danelaw, where Viking law and customs held sway. This Viking influence would persist for generations, shaping the English language, law, and culture. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. That will help me a lot, thank you. Strange Steiner.